The biggest thing I'm working on right now is the word distraction. And I've come to realize that most distractions are actually really good opportunities, just ill timed.
Welcome to the High Voltage Business Builders, a show where we interview entrepreneurs growing and scaling their income through e-commerce and showing you the path to make your first or next million. The whole Vinnie thing had me going for a minute. It's like, are you an Uncle Vinnie?
I am an Uncle Vinny.
You are an Uncle Vinnie?
I'm a cousin Vinny as well, and a lawyer to boot. So
Oh,
yeah,
shoot. You're from New York?
okay, that's
Uh-oh.
exactly right. All the stereotypes, Neil.
Watch out. I got to keep it on the up and up, or you might want to rein me in after this, and we'll see each other in court. Well, thanks for joining the show. Appreciate having you on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, buddy.
So what is going on in the fully accountable world with you, and what's keeping you busy these days? Family life, other things you want to talk about? What's most important to you right now?
It's funny. That's a great question. I'm a dad of four children, two adults, two thinking they're adults, a teenager's still in the high school system. And so I'm probably the busiest shepherding them through
Yeah.
phases of learning how to be a parent of young adults. And so I'm really thankful that my experience in running a large organization of 150 people, and I'm really act like a CEO, right? I have an executive team. And honestly, Neil, that training is what's allowing me to do a decent version of being a very present. And so my eight-figure
Yeah.
enterprise is like our side hustle. And my real busy, busy life is the home of my marriage and four children.
Well, I appreciate that, right? I have four daughters, although mine aren't at the oldest stages. They're 9 to 14, but they're starting to think that they're acting like
Yeah.
an adult in some ways because we homeschool
Yeah.
and we're always around them, so they always talk at different levels with people. It always surprises them, and I'm like, well, that's one of the benefits of homeschooling. But I do appreciate what you're saying. Running the household, being with your kids, and trying to be involved is a balance, yeah, between what's real, what's the side hustle, what business activities. How have you come to this realization? It sounds like something, and I know it's something from your past that wasn't just an everyday thing. Like, where did you meet that position where you realized family first, business second?
I've gotten some advice along the way, but honestly, I played from the chip on my shoulder, classic, came from some rough conditions, broken home, wanted different things for Debbie and I. So I made the first phase of my business life all about business accomplishment. Thankfully, we did really well at a couple businesses. And I'll tell you, one day sitting at the kitchen table, my daughter came home from church with hey, we got this exercise we're doing. And our leader, Miss Christie, said, hey, what do your parents love the most? And you know what, mom? You love Jesus. Hey, dad, you know what? You love work. And she thought she was like being excited and sharing like all these
Oh,
amazing things about she knows her parents. And I was
right.
borderline ready to puke, Neil. And
Yeah.
an old guy hit me at the right time. He said, "Don't blow your 40s, Vinny." Like, and what I heard at the time was, "Go ahead. You're good at growing business. You're good at teams. You're good at people. But like, how do you find where like at the end of all that, like your kids are never going to tell the old guy story where it's all your successful business accomplishments. They're going to tell the category of where you were a dad in their life." And so honestly, I just started figuring it out, like where I started doing things like looking at the shadow I cast on our business and what can I do each and every day to improve how the business can run in spite of the shadow I cast on it. And I've worked really hard over the last 10 or 12 years to build enterprise where my shadow is still cast over it is not impacting the growth of our organization such that I can be both a CEO at home as well.
Yeah. Dude, that's so powerful because we're told again and again as men to build in our 40s. Build in your 40s, cruise through your 50s, and retire in your 60s. Isn't that the mantra, right? That we're
Yep.
just installed. And even if we get into business for ourselves, we still sort of fit into that, don't we?
Yep.
We still sort of hustle through that, right? At 46, I'm still trying to break the mindset daily of interacting and scheduling with my kids. And I've had to start scheduling some time. I need to get better at this too. And I've been, I'm confessing on an open airwave that I need to get
Yeah.
better at that. To Uncle Vinny, please listen, Uncle Vinny. That I need to get better at scheduling in more time with them and being intentional because I haven't had that experience. I don't want to have the experience where the girls come in and suddenly they just say, well, what's dad's value? It's in his office. It's in his business. That would soul crush me. And I
And
respect what you're
coming
saying.
from a family, Debbie and I think of ourselves as cycle breakers, praise the Lord. And I'm thankful for that. But coming from a broken family that I didn't want a family like that to be
Yeah.
repeating that same generational behavior,
Yes.
rocked me to my knees, man. Like, I'm so thankful.
Yep.
And I actually had like soft ears to hear it at the time because it changed the trajectory of our family. And I'm really thankful for it. By the way, I want to give everyone a real tip. We've never been more successful in business.
Focusing on family first, business second. Yeah.
Like putting
That's
things
amazing.
into a
Amazing.
bucket has made us our net worths tripled, our business enterprise, our teams. Like you don't
Yeah.
actually have to buy this like one or the other thing. You just can't serve two masters. Like it's real. You got to decide the pecking order. And when you decide the pecking order, you can start putting real valuable energy in all of those buckets, just as long as you remember like which bucket's first.
Yeah, that's what I love about you. You subscribe and understand and live and amplify lifestyle driven business. And I know not everyone understands what that means because they're searching for the lifestyle. So they're out gaining, they're going, they're corporate jockeying, there's jumping roles, they're trying to start and hustle, 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 right? What they're actually not understanding in that way, and I understand it now too, is the business as a lifestyle is very different than a lifestyle driven business.
Mm.
Um,
That's really
because you
good. I'm
can
gonna
get the
take that. That's like a tattoo, Neil. I'm taking that one. That's good.
you steal that from me, and I will come after you because I've lived in New York. I know where they are.
That's right. That's good. I mean, you can repeat that for everybody. They're gonna miss that. Say that again.
Well, again, you understand something very fundamental. Lifestyle-driven business, okay, or lifestyle-driven business is very different. It's 180 degrees from a business that drives a lifestyle.
Mm,
Everyone wants to get the hustle, the time, the money, so they can go out and spend the dollars, go to the life, do the travels, do the trips, do whatever. It's totally 180 degrees off of what you do and what I have come to learn, and my success has tenfold out of the back of that realization. By leading more people to the realization of that, I help them become uninhibited to not being entrapped by those life goals, those lies, and those sayings, right? The idea that you can work 10 to 15 hours a week and still make more than is in actuality truthful and can be done. And that's an
definitely.
abundant mindset.
Yep.
Scarcity mindset operates on the other side that says if I hustle for 50 to 80 weeks, I can get that business. It'll give me the lifestyle that will get me 10 to 15 hours a week.
Yeah, and I want to be real. Like, I do believe that working smarter versus working harder is a real thing. And I think if
It
you work
is.
smarter and you worked harder, you're going to go a lot faster than the average lad. So I think all of
Well, what
that,
is harder and smarter? It's a balance between, now I say 10 to 15, but I might work 20 to 30 hours in one week and 5 the next. The goal
right?
is the balance. And everybody says, well, you can't have balance. You can't have one. You got to choose the other. You got to hustle. You got to grind. I get it. I understand all that. However, everybody has a different goal. But I meet so many people, and you probably do too, who are like, look, I want to sort of be where you are in life. I want to be on the 40 acres. I would love to homeschool. I'd love to, have a lifestyle driven business that, allows me the freedom to travel and do things and whatever. And then I can choose not to, because with responsibility comes the ability to not choose, right? And so I choose not to do certain things. People are always surprised. We got this master in Vegas. No, I'm not traveling right now. Why are you not
You
traveling?
know
Because
what?
I don't
When you
want to.
say that, Neil, you know what it makes me think of? I got men
What's
in
that?
my life, people who have a futuristic giving mentality. In other words, it's like
Yep.
always some version of win the lottery. When I get this much money, I'll start giving. I always challenge someone in my life, a young person, usually, if why don't you start giving now with what you have? If you want to give toward things, give now. Like this idea of building that business, like for you, if we unpack it all, you started doing it and then you built it. I started doing this 12, 15 years ago. This is the result of this 10-year overnight success that I've
Hit it
worked at
overnight.
purposely building it, not
Yeah.
hoping it's coming.
Well, you understand something and many don't, and this is very simple. You used to buy your mom lunch, or maybe you still do, but you're also the guy that would buy her a house. See,
Yeah,
most people don't understand if they won't buy their mom lunch, they're not going to buy her a house later. It's a heart thing you're talking about,
that's
right? It
right.
has nothing to do with accumulation. It has everything to do with heart. If you're unable to give with nothing, then what are you going to do with something? You're going to hold on to it. You're going to hoard it. And that's all about heart and mind.
But it's also a dreamer like, check. Like if you're waiting to give something later, then you might be dreaming about the idea or the theory
Yeah.
of the thing. Start practicing it with what you have. Trust me, at every level, people can do that. And I think that same attitude can be brought into running a business. Like you are putting that investment into it now. And I don't think you have to be trapped by the shadow of your company that you've built.
No, you don't, because then you're not starting to think about how do I get out of this? There's exiting businesses and there's exiting businesses. There is the difference between, a burden and an opportunity and a blessing. And
Yeah.
you have to expect the differences in different times of life. But if you're waiting for any of those things to come because you're not actually moving your feet, they're not going to come just by some magical thing. It isn't because just because I want it to happen, it'll show up. I can open a bank account and that doesn't mean magical money is going to start flowing into my bank account, right? I got to do something to put it there.
You know what the big thing you asked me at the beginning of the show, and I love the question, like, what am I working on right now? And the biggest thing I'm working on right now is the word distraction. And I've come to realize that most distractions are actually really good opportunities, just ill-timed. And
Yeah, that's
um,
well said.
I'm starting,
Let's say this again. Most distractions are really good opportunities, just ill timed.
yeah, and I'm starting to realize more and more every day that I need to not only have a good relationship to the word no or not right now, but when I want to go solve problems, I got my first reaction has to be to remove something from the list, not add more to it. And I'll tell you, so many of our friends and business people, if they could just remove some items from their distraction list and not go chase a new idea, but maybe go fix one of their current broken ideas, their throughput would be so much more. And I'm realizing this in my life that why I had such a bad relationship to distraction is because I had a bad relationship to the word boredom. Same.
That's a great way of saying that. Yeah, yeah. Boredom is a different word, isn't it? It's used
It
out of
is,
context.
right. And I think I go start because I start getting quiet and going for a walk. And if I'm bored, I have to start dealing with tough stuff. Well, then it's easier to just throw up some more distractions at it. Then I don't got to think about those things.
We are a world of 7-second distractions in order to keep us away from boredom and what I would consider to be people who are literally tired but not inspired. And those are the people I used to be. You'd work the 9 to 5, you come back, you don't really want to do anything. And you use excuses that you're too tired to do things, or I don't have enough time in the evening, or my kids or my family. Those are all
Yes.
excuses. In the end of it, you're really not inspired to do whatever it is you need to do, whatever you want to do, or whatever you want to go after. So if you can find that inspiration, tiredness really goes away because you get up early and you'd stay up late if you were really interested in doing it, if you're really passionate about it.
And I
And
want to
then
be
you would
fair to
figure out a way
everybody.
around it.
They're Fully Accountable is an amazing organization. I never thought I'd be scaling a service company again after closing my law firm 15 years ago. But
Yeah.
there are really hard days. It's hard to operate a complex organization. Not every day is amazing. I know we're changing lives. We have lots of jobs and we impact lots of payroll. Days can suck. That doesn't mean we
Yep.
aren't doing something amazing. The hard work of pushing through, for me as an entrepreneur, the distraction I'm speaking of is sometimes the things I've done in the strategy of our business. I've created parts that the current version of the business has outlived or is broken. And what I would do with distraction is I would go chase another new novel idea instead of go in and fix some of the stuff that needs to be addressed inside the organization. And so I would just really want to encourage our friends that if you could take that same distraction, new novel idea and go back and look at your organization as if the privilege you have to fix the stuff that you broke, or even if you didn't break it, you'll have probably a way better enterprise. Do that same thing in your family and your marriage. And I promise you that same result will produce multiplication you never imagined.
Yeah, and I want to go back to something you said a second ago. You talked about breaking tradition, breaking bad things, you
Yep.
coming out of a bad environment and being able to break past that. Generational curses, I think, are real. I believe they're real. I believe there's a big old foundation for it. I was not a
Yep.
product of that, thankfully. My dad was. My dad was from a broken home, a very destroyed home. I
Yep.
give him all the credit and God the credit for the relationship driving aspect of him breaking out of that generational curse.
Yep.
And the blessings that I received from him as a man and a leader and a father come from that. Would you agree with that or disagree in terms of the
Totally
context?
100%. So, the funny things about, I really believe in the spiritual realm. My faith in Christ is so important to me. I'm so thankful for it. I'm not here to evangelize to anybody else. If you ever want to talk about that, slide up in Neil's DMs. I'll talk to you about it anytime you want. Because history repeats itself, the attacks are real. They just got to look at
Yeah.
my generational behavior of the stuff my family's been susceptible to. So we think about habit. Well, what did I do to go deal with my kids? I wanted to provide more for them. So I worked more instead of gave them more of my time. I was just repeating the behavior of absenteeism at our home. Well, that's what history is. Like we're likely to repeat even toxic behavior because we know it. And so thank goodness for things like taking thought captive, being renewed by transformation of mind, having a whole set of renewal of like wounds in my heart, counselors, people like who love and know Jesus and speak into my life. All of that plays into this account of breaking generational behavior. And gosh darn it, is it hard, but it is so rewarding when when it's happening.
Well, and you gotta have a good partner. You and your wife have strong structure. You obviously have strong structure and values and family. Sometimes that can be very difficult if one of you's on that path and the other one isn't, or you're not quite at the same place and don't understand the value of coming together in it. That can create a lot of trouble in home and a lot of trouble in the value. So, where are you headed in the next year, Vinny? Like, what's on your radar?
The younger person. So on financial literacy, on your position in the world, your role. So I spend a lot of time with young people in my organization, young people within the marketplace, and trying to use my position and my platform to help young people with understanding financial literacy to the point where it can impact decisions they make within their family. And then also understanding and helping someone use their desires, their talents, their strengths to be on some mission to accept a call to where they're going to solve problems. In my world, that would be for the other children who have problems, be it kingdom problems or whatever gift you have. How do we help you find that? So I'm just doing a lot more of that these days with young people, a lot of mentoring, a lot of stuff. And so I'm using my privilege as a CEO, my privilege and platform to invest more of our dollars into things like Momentum Ministry Partners on things like Marketplace, and then also spend my time Wednesdays and Thursday nights speaking about this to young people.
Fantastic, man. Any final words you want to leave with everybody as we're listening today?
I would just put down the to-do list and I would really focus on dropping things off the list because it's right there in front of you. You just have so much noise that you need to cut the noise. And a good friend of mine said recently, we're going to spend 93% of our waking life in artificial conditions. Go for a walk.
Go for a walk. We're going to end it on that. Man, I consider you a high voltage business builder. Absolutely. And I'm honored that you came on to share some stuff with me today.
Thanks for having me, Neil.
If you like this episode, please share it with people you think will enjoy it as well. Thank you for listening, and be sure to tune in next week for a brand new episode of High Voltage Business Builders.